Presently, if we try to discuss certain scenario that led to the evolution of global south, so what are these conditions that led to the prominent talks regarding global south?
Existed in the Indian psyche even before independence. Example, what was NAM, right? So NAM is, basically a significant portion of present day global south.
We need to view this visit not in an isolation. It was not an accident. It was a very, very calculated recalibration of our foreign policy. I think.
So Global South collectively refers to the underdeveloped and developing countries of mostly Africa, Asia and Latin America.
So how do you see this expansion of BRICS? Is it the expansion of global south also?
The pros is that definitely there is a great idea of pluralism. So now even within global south, some kind of inequality which was existing, we want to come out from that.
Collectively, there are certain issues with BRICS. It's not a very attractive investment destination.
So this positive cooperation, India is basically trying to achieve that positive leadership role, but not in a very overt, imposing manner, but in a very subtle and good manner.
Hello everyone, welcome to Perspective. Today we are going to discuss a very significant topic from the perspective of India's foreign policy, which is India's Global South outreach. Now recently the Prime Minister of India has visited 5 prominent countries which are significant part of the Global South, which includes the countries like Ghana, Namibia, Trinidad and Tobago, Argentina and Brazil. Now basically when we are talking about Global South, the term was coined by Carl Olsby in 1969, which significantly represents the kind of oppression economically as well as politically done by the countries of Global North on the countries of Global South. Now, since then, the term has evolved significantly, including a lot of countries. Now, why does that matter from the perspective of India's foreign policy and what India is actually doing in this regard? Whether it is just a solidarity measure or India is changing its perspective towards these countries. Let's try to analyze this in our discussion. So joining me today in this discussion, the faculties of Vision IS. Hello everyone. So when we are talking about Global South, Himanshu sir, there are a lot of things that comes in our mind that why this particular construct is being done in general. So presently, if we try to discuss certain scenario that led to the evolution of Global South. So what are these conditions that led to the prominent talks regarding Global South presently?
Well, the way I look at it, the concept of Global South, either with its name or without its name, has existed in the Indian psyche even before independence. Example, what was NAM, right? So NAM is, basically a significant portion of present day's Global South, and India took leadership of those countries. Right there, also we tried to project the interest of the countries, which were basically at the on the negative side of the history, which is represented by this divide, which we call North-South divide. So what was the divide in the North-South divide? For me, it was the colonialism, right? So therefore, many of the members of the present Global South are basically victims of colonialism, which basically means, right, it's not like it's a political thing, but which basically also means economic underdevelopment. Right, so therefore, India being the fourth, largest economy of the world, rapidly emerging. So therefore, it is our responsibility. It is seen as a responsibility and also as an opportunity to lead the Global South on the path of development, so that we are able to, get the peace dividend. Right. So therefore, that is the focus that because of which, and apart from this, for example, the great powers of the world, they have somewhere evaded their responsibility. Isolationist tendencies have increased, as shown by the tariff wars, right, between US and China. So therefore, you see, it is India which is trying to give importance to this Global South. And very interesting thing is that these countries are spread across the globe, and therefore there is great potential for maritime cooperation. There is great potential for mining, right? Not just on the lands, but also in the exclusive economic zones, right? And there India can really give, strength. And if you just last thing, if you notice the pattern, so if you look at the cooperation of India with these countries, broadly 3 themes come out. One theme, it is related to security. Second theme, it is related to social sector development in the form of skill development, health, education. And third thing which comes is with respect to technological innovation and energy. right? So therefore, our impetus is on development. So it's a very positive intervention in a world filled with conflict. So that's how I would say it.
So, ma'am, do you want to add something to this?
Sir, I would like to view this entire five-nation tour of our Prime Minister from two perspectives. One, what is the present multilateral, or you can say the world order? What is the world order? If we understand that, it will feel that yes, it was definitely a great pragmatic move and it was an essential idea as far as India's foreign policy is concerned. So what is the present world order? One, multilateralism is increasing. World is moving towards multipolarity. At the same time, there is this idea of re-globalization, wherein since the multilateral institutions are fragmented, so re-globalization means we are somehow mending the economic imbalances in our own unique way. Apart from that, new metrics for securities are coming up. At the same time, there are regional powers which are coming. So if we view the world order from these perspectives, I believe what India is doing is sine qua non, and this outreach towards global south is very exactly situated. Now, apart from this, like sir also said, what is the importance? We need to figure out which countries or which regions we have targeted. This is Africa, this is Latin America, this is Caribbean. Crucial ideas for global south. And in past also, India has been I would not say emerging leader. India has established itself as voice of voiceless, as a global south leader. So when in 2023, we took forward the presidency of G20, how vehemently we took forward the idea that African Union has to be part of this greater idea of G20. Abhi G20 is a podium for global North and South collaboration. So by making and giving African Union the opportunity to enter, this means we are somehow creating as a bridge between North on one hand and global South on another. So this visit, of course, have a great implications also, and it have a connection with what we have been doing in past. So it's a continuity for which we were doing our homework for last 2-3 years before. Also, like sir also said, security is very important because this area is that IOR area. And Hamari maritime doctrine ka issue has been that we have somehow neglected this western portion of IOR. So mere liye Africa is very important. So it's no more a dark continent now. So I believe if you view these visits from these perspective, development initiative, India want to become the voice of voiceless, multi-alignment we have exemplified in a very beautiful way. So we are engaging with G7 as an outreach partner. So we are in hand in gloves with Global North in taking forward global issues. Cut to comes these kind of visits. G20 ko we have presided, SCO we have presided, BRICS we have been the center, of course, this time because of absence of two major partners. So I believe in this particular world order, we need to view this visit not in an isolation. It was not an accident. It was a very, very calculated recalibration of our foreign policy, I believe.
Just one point I would like to add. I see another very important pattern here. While this tariff war, it is going on. So basically, see how India is trying to sidestep it. In November 2024, India co-chaired the meeting of CARICOM, right? Then India is trying to upgrade the preferential trade agreement which is there with Mercosur into a free trade agreement, right? And then India is giving special importance to Ghana, which is one of the founding member of ECOWAS, right? So therefore, I notice a very, very important and intelligent move there by India.
Adding on to what Saran Ram has said, this visit by Prime Minister Modi is a latest step in the series of steps which India has already taken. Remember, the first visit by Prime Minister Modi was to Bhutan. He invited the SAARC leaders to his swearing-in ceremony way back in 2014. So Global South collectively refers to the underdeveloped and developing countries of mostly Africa, Asia and Latin America. There are certain issues which Global South is facing, for example, the great power rivalries. And this great power rivalry is impacting the decision making. The Global South suffers the most when the global decision making is impacted. There is a lack of genuine multilateralism. They are not represented well in any multilateral platforms. Plus the normative idioms, which often the Global North pushes down the throat of the Global South. Democracy, human rights, climate change. So it cannot have one size fit all model for all. The Global North will not decide what Global Souths need to do based on their parameters. India here emerges as the champion of Global South. It has a history of leadership right from the NAM days. India has very successfully negated Global North on the climate change topic with its common but differentiated responsibility. India shares technologies in International Solar Alliance with Global South, and often India has talked about genuine multilateralism. So the recent visit is just an adding stone to what India has already done over the past 10 to 15 years is how I see it.
And not to forget that already there is Voice of Global South Summit that is being hosted by India. So that is also one such step that India is doing. So now coming to this particular visit, why this seems more significant, that there are key issues that India is in need. For example, let's say about the critical minerals, or let's say about the promotion of its DPI network. So what do you think, like if we talk, Kanishk sir, that what are these emerging themes and why they are important, and what kind of cooperation that have been sought in this regard?
So many emerging, critical and emerging technologies, they are stressed towards clean and green energy, then semiconductors, building up supply chain, logistics, connectivity networks. So all these are the emerging themes which India is trying to move ahead with Global South. And as Himanshu has said, that the tariff war will impact the entire world. India is trying to find a way out by striking a deal with the Global South.
So, anybody of you want to
So
add
I
further
would like
on
to
the
add
specific
one thing
themes?
that what are the emerging things. So issue we need to figure out कि अभी तक what assistance Global North was giving to Global South, they were always strings attached to it. There was IMF which was giving us loan, but a huge kind of strings which were allowed, that is called conditionalities of loan, because of which a SAP program was being mandated on us. This has been the relationship between Global North and Global South. But now India is trying to give it a new shape. Therein we are coming up with this development diplomacy. And so this time, like what we did with the countries in which our Prime Minister visited, all the development schemes were demand driven. And this is not the first time we are taking it forward. If we remember, in 2018, our Prime Minister went to Uganda. And at that time, he took forward the idea of 10-point Kampala principle. Today, Kampala principles are the framework of Indo-Africa relationship. The first point of that 10-point program was that from now onwards, India will be providing development regarding spheres which you want us to provide. It will never be on our terms, our conditions. It would be demand driven. I believe if India take forward these kind of agenda, then it won't be a surprise if out of their own willingness, Global South considers itself not only as leaders of Global South, but also as net security provider, which is a thing we want to come out in this particular region. So I believe this was a very unique aspect, which I particularly found in this visit.
A very interesting thing. Ideally, see, right now China is the second superpower, nearly. Ideally, China should have been the leader of the Global South. It is also victim of colonialism. So what Madam highlighted, that relationship of conditionalities has not just been between the Global North and the South, it has also been between China and the aid recipients of China. And that is where India differentiates itself from China. And that's why this Global South is also our diplomatic kind of like a move vis-a-vis China also. So that is also really...
Completely agree with sir. And just one point I would like to add here, that yes, there is a rift going on between India and China, that who will represent the Global South, who will be the actual leader of the Global South. In 2023, China brokered a deal between Saudi and Iran. And if this deal works out, the energy prices will stabilize. So this is China's message to Global South at the time when US is aiding Ukraine and aiding to that conflict. It is China which is working towards peace. Remember, this deal happened when India was hosting G20. So China wants to take this position from India. The rift will go on and interesting days are ahead.
So I would like to add one more thing, that what all India is doing, of course, India is doing good in the region, but there is US, which really wants to see India as a counterweight to China. So I believe that strategically in international politics, we can take forward the opportunity of the ongoing rivalry between US and China and juxtapose ourselves very strongly. So US will definitely, keeping into mind our location advantage in IOR, keeping us as centrality in Indo-Pacific, and as an alternative to the supply chains. So US is also going to somehow support us in this regard, though of course under Trump, we are of course always in the double doubt. But strategically, India would definitely be getting a leverage in this regard, I believe.
And what comes to my mind regarding these particular visits, that there are few key areas that India is right now seeking across the world. For example, whether it is about the lithium related cooperation that was done with Argentina or the lithium triangle countries. Apart from that, DPI, the promotion of the UPI network, and UPSC is also focusing upon these things. So I think these are the key areas that one should be seeking, that global south may we are progressing with this regard, and the countries which are might not be that significant from the population perspective, may not be significant that much from the economy perspective, but when we see the potential, and you have also highlighted regarding the Kampala declaration, which talks about the Africa led developmental initiative. So that is also very good thing, that India is not unlike China, it is performing any kind of checkbook diplomacy, that is the not the need of the time need is like to driven by the country's need only. So that particular things are there. And also next question of mine will be that regarding this, we see the multilateralism also, because sometimes when US is retreating from different global organizations, recently we had seen whether it is WHO, whether it is UNESCO again, whether it is Paris Climate Agreement. So US traditionally played a pivotal role as far as the global anchor is concerned. Right now, US is not playing that particular role. And also multilateralism is also in a dilemma situation. It's not that strengthened. So how do you see this particular aspect, that India's focus is on the initiatives like, let's say, BRICS? So how it is going to shape the global stature? Himanshu sir, if you can highlight on that.
Well, BRICS in a way kind of like gives an organizational structure to the global south, right? So that's where the importance of BRICS is, because otherwise it's not based on a geographical area basis. So therefore, BRICS in that sense is very interesting. Neither the global south has any geographical contiguity, nor BRICS has, but it is the shared principles which are there, right? Second element with respect to BRICS is the concept of sovereignty in the domain of economic transactions is also part of that multilateralism. So basically, through BRICS, for example, BRICS is not establishing any of its new currency, but what we are basically saying is that the objective is not to develop a counter to dollar as an international currency, but we have the global south has a right to do bilateral trade in national currencies, right? So therefore, that's where the weaponization of dollar, right, we can sidestep because of that. Similarly, for example, the SWIFT platform, etc. So if gradually we are able to expand the UPI, that will also provide us some kind of economic sovereignty in our international transactions, right? Recent addition of 11 to become 11-member body, right? So therefore, this is how India is also making BRICS non-China centric, right? So therefore, the next organization is SCO, right? So BRICS was earlier thought to be China-led, but with addition and expansion of BRICS, so there also BRICS plays a very important role in India getting an organizational structure to act as voice of global south.
Right. So regarding BRICS, ma'am, if we highlight further, there has been expansion of BRICS, as sir has highlighted regarding that there has been subsequent expansion, and recently Indonesia has also been part of this. And we know that from the time period of NAM, we are cooperating, whether it is Ghana, whether it is Indonesia. So how do you see this expansion of BRICS? Is it the expansion of global south also? And BRICS is moving towards the further, what we can say, anchoring the idea of global south?
So BRIC is one particular forum which traditionally was taking forward three important countries, that is India, China and Russia. Likewise, then South Africa got added, and now 11 new countries. I would take it from both the two ideas. The pros is that definitely there is a great idea of pluralism. So now, even within Global South, some kind of inequality which was existing, we want to come out from that. So greater representation, broader diversity, greater pluralism, sovereignty would be shared in terms of policy making. These are few of the pros. But I feel that logistically, BRICS might suffer again from issues concerning lack of consensus building, because greater the number of members, issues definitely would be there for consensus building. Already we have countries like India and China. I believe BRIC की importance एक ये होती है कि platforms like BRICS and SCO provides a platform for warring countries like India and China to at least come up and sit and talk. So it's great strategic value, but I view it from two different angles. Now, keeping into mind how it is taking forward Global South solidarity, yes, of course, it is taking forward the agenda of Global South solidarity. At the same time, India, and like sir also said, somehow China is receding. This time, the President Xi was also not there. Russia se bhi representation was not there properly. So, of course, it was more India centric. But next time, what happens, we can't be sure. Also, keeping into mind that majority of the countries, even within BRICS, either they are under the debt trap of China or somehow they are part of BRI. तो ये कहना, it would be too early to say कि India might be central to this idea. Second, I personally feel, keeping into mind the growing rapprochement between China and Russia, all because of the Russia-Ukraine war, I believe this kind of bonhomie is not going to get out very soon. So I would view BRICS as a platform for India's exhibition of multi-alignment. I would love India to take forward its decision in an autonomous way and maintain and keep BRICS platform with a very strong element of caution. We can't be complacent just because there is an expansion of BRIC members. That is what I am saying. Because you never know what the intentions, what the geopolitical intentions of the member countries are. So I would take it in a very cautious way.
Okay. Kanishk sir, as we are discussing about the BRICS related expansions, few things that India has initiated as far as BRICS is concerned, like the BRICS Pay, or let's say the localization of the trade or the local currency based trade that the BRICS is more promoting. How do you see this? That is it going to benefit in any way the global South countries?
See, India is a founder member of BRICS, so it exercises a lot of influence there, but then China checks India there. India cannot be oblivion to the fact that BRICS discusses a lot about Global South, and when India claims the leadership of Global South, it has to participate. Collectively, there are certain issues with BRICS. It's not a very attractive investment destination, collectively speaking. Then there is very less agreement between the partners, particularly India, China, and it is perceived as a very reactionary organization rather than being proactive on what it wants to do. It is seen as a reaction to the Western-led multilateral organizations, mostly the Bretton Woods. Right. Having said this, almost 40 countries have shown willingness to join BRICS, which shows the sense of anger that Global South has with regards to the multilaterals. So BRICS provides India a very effective hedging platform with respect to the other Western-led multilaterals. And India can, of course, articulate its position. India can use this platform for track 1.5 and track 2 with China. Yes, India needs to do a lot of things here, but overall, I think it's going well.
All right. So now when we are talking about, let's say, BRICS, beyond that also the Global South has multiple ramifications. For example, when we are talking about Global South, it is not one uniform way that the world is seeing the Global South. The West is seeing it from a cautionary approach, that what kind of policy making that the Global South countries are doing. So where do you see like how the Global South or the concept of Global South is moving? Himanshu sir, if you highlight about this particular thing, that whether we are moving on the right track as far as the India is concerned with the agenda of Global South, is it just a kind of like showing some sort of solidarity towards certain issues, or is India pivoting towards that particular direction where India is ready to take the leadership of the Global South?
See, solidarity is kind of like soft power, right? When it comes to India taking the leadership, well, leadership is, in this kind of platforms, it is actually not taken. It is actually given by the followers, right? So basically, India is trying to follow a very positive approach, right, with respect to energy cooperation, maritime security cooperation, right, food security, agriculture sector. Right. So therefore, basically, while like Prime Minister has said that this is not ideally it should not be an era of war. Right. So basically, through this positive cooperation, India is basically trying to achieve that positive leadership role, but not in a very overt, imposing manner, but in a very subtle and good manner, while keeping our national interest inside. Our national interest is, it's good that we are number 3. Right. Our national interest is we want this peace dividend to continue. Right. So therefore, and if China is going to arm twist certain countries, including us, with respect to rare earth material, rare earth minerals, right, and similarly, if this, the tariff war we discussed. So therefore, somewhere the Global South cannot bear the cost of such policies, right? There needs to be stability. So therefore, now because of this tariffs, it is a newfound, opportunity that we need to get the logistics in place. We need to get the foreign direct investments in each other's countries in place, so that we are able to have the resources which are required for development of the populations of the global south. So I feel that it's not that much about imposing leadership, but yes, definitely we want any kind of neo-colonialism from the West, nor we are in favor of domination by the Chinese. So maybe the tariff wars have highlighted the importance of this strategic autonomy, not just for India, but for all the members of the global south.
Kanishk sir, talking about the challenges, because sir has highlighted that what India sees with respect to the global south, but there are multiple challenges we know when it comes to India. A lot of things that already appended since the history have talked about, like, right, how we performed on, let's say, bilateral or the multilateral platforms. So what do you think, like, what are the challenges that India is presently facing as far as the construct of global south is concerned?
See, first of all, Global South is not a monolithic entity. It's a very generic term. Different countries have different issues. So India needs to come up with specific solutions to different countries here. Plus, the problem with India when it approaches such multilaterals and tries to take up the leadership position is that often our projects are not completed on time. We are known for extending beyond, be it INSTC or IMEC or that Kaladan multi-model. There may be hundreds of reasons which are not controlled by India, but after all, it is seen as India-centric project getting delayed. Nepal often says that India promises, China delivers. It has last year it has finally inked the BRI, though with a very cautionary approach. But Nepal, every country in India's immediate vicinity tries to play the China card with India. So first thing, we need to get our projects done on time. Do not extend it beyond any threshold. Second thing, the issues of Global South, India needs to articulate these positions slightly more clearly. India refused to join the SCO summit. It did not ink it down because there were some issues. India officially said that we were not told about the specifics initially. It was critical of Israel. It signed the BRICS summit, which was again critical of Israel. When it comes to the Israel-Gaza war, India has been taking differing positions. In October 2023, it voted for a ceasefire. In December 2023, it abstained from voting. So these are the issues which Global South tries to resonate with it, these things. So India needs to take a certain, thoda spasht bolna padega yahan par. You need to take a call. You cannot be offering conflicting options on the same table very often. Complete your projects on time. Speed up the projects, increase the amount, compare with what China is doing. China's BRI has put almost 8 data study says this, that 42 countries have 10% of their GDP owed as debt to China. It reaches more than $700 billion. Now, India does not have that kind of forex or cash left. We cannot match with China, but at least our projects don't have that clandestine hidden structure which China often tries to fool these countries with. So little more proactiveness, little more clarity on the specific that we need is what India requires right now.
So finally, Shruti ma'am, as we are discussing about the challenges because lack of delivery or maybe with respect to lack of fund crunch may be considered, and we are not necessarily in a position to counter each and everything that China does. But do we really need to do, or where the future of this, let's say, Global South and India cooperation lies? What India should be doing in forward?
So I would take it in two ways. One, India needs to show itself as a potential leader, because you can't force a country to accept you as a leader. You create that aura, you create that precedent that countries say, yes, this is going to be our leader. This India can do in manifestation of its own foreign policy, first of all in neighborhood. So charity begins at home. You start at your neighborhood. So we do have a very fine idea, which I actually say is with small sovereign states, which suffers from natural as well as manufactured insecurity. And when I say manufactured insecurity, China, of course, is there. And then few political parties within that country. So, for instance, Maldives and Nepal. If we have this kind of thing in our neighborhood, then one, stop making unnecessary intervention. You need to put forward this example that India is not there for unnecessary internal intervention. Invoke the principle of Gujarat Doctrine, which is very essential right now. Second thing, continue giving development assistance. So development diplomacy has to be the USP. Like last year only, we increased to Bhutan the 12th 5-year plan assistance we gave. 13th 5-year plan, we increase it from 5,000 crore to 10,000 crore. That mega amount we are giving to Bhutan. When it comes to Nepal, we have increased it from 5 crore to 4 times, 20 crore. So this kind of development assistance is very important, keeping into mind what BRI through China is doing through BRI. So one, apne neighborhood mein set an example that we are like a generous big brother. We are not there for intervention. We are there to create and provide you the next security order. Once we are doing this in our neighborhood, be very strong and affirmative in different multilateral organizations wherever you are taking part. Try to put forward the issues which global south individually countries cannot take forward. For instance, India, EU, FTA, UK के साथ तो हमारा sign हुआ. EU के साथ we are still developing. What is the issue we are taking? All those issues, sir, are actually the issues which global south countries somehow because of intimidation or whatever, they are not able to get it clearly. So our stand on data exclusivity, our stand on the extension, that is the evergreening of patenting, our stand as far as data localization is concerned, our stand as far as tariff, non-tariff barriers are concerned. ये सभी concerns हैं जो normally any global south country would wish to collaborate, but no one is hearing to them. So through our acts, in a subtle way, we can create this kind of aura that yes, India is here to take forward your grievances also. And if India takes forward and you allows us to take forward the leadership in multilateral forums, India is going to take forward and represent the entire global south without harming the individual interest. So this is, I believe, in a very cautious, as in say, Kautilya कहता है ना षड्गुण नीति में कि many a times when your enemy, you are able to understand that enemy is very difficult right now and the world order is also changing. At that time, have that asan. So have that strategic restraint. Jahan zaruri hai, measured response karo. At another time, you continue taking forward this idea. One more point, sir. Diaspora will play a very important role. We should never forget. Global South में हमारी बहुत अच्छी diasporic presence है. It's a living bridge. Let's capitalize on that.
So what we have discussed over here, that what way forward will be for India is not exactly China's specific policies, that we might not be having that much deep pockets like China. We can't perform that much on the debt trap kind of policy, or let's say the checkbook diplomacy, but we do have the agile nature of our foreign policy, the way we are functioning upon different issues, the way we can utilize the diaspora or different institutions that India had built over a period of time, and that eventually had certain sync with the global south countries. So India can capitalize and utilize these things. Apart from that, obviously, yes, deliverability.
One point I
yes.
would like to add that I see one good thing about the foreign policy of government of India. It has not publicly aired the misgivings of its immediate neighbors, be it Sri Lanka, be it Maldives, be it Nepal, be it Bhutan. She and 6 and Yuan Wang 5, the Chinese spy vessel docked at Hambantota port. It was some think tank close to the government of India which were critical of it. It were strategic thinkers like Brahmachalani which said that it's a diplomatic slap on India. The MEA, the PMO did not utter a single word. The third ship could not come. What happened with Maldives last year is there in the public domain. It was very tempting for India to give a befitting reply, but India maintained strategic patience. Last week, you see Mohammad Muizzi rolling out a red carpet for Prime Minister Modi. So in Bhutan, the Prime Minister said that the solution to Doklam cannot emerge in isolation. There are 3 partners to it. It brought China there, which did not go well with Delhi. But India has not given knee-jerk reactions. So it requires a lot of strategic patience. Of course, if required, threshold is broken, of course, the action will be taken. But let that threshold reach that level. So this is how I see it. It's going in the right direction.
Just one last thing that I believe that what is working and what is really needed is the existing Modi doctrine and Gujarat doctrine. That is, you just give, irrespective of whether the other people revert back positively or not. So I have my apprehensions.
So I personally feel a mixed bag of neighborhood first policy. Gujarat doctrine में elements like non-interference and continuous development assistance without reciprocity. So हमारे पास option ही नहीं है कुछ. If we are not offering, China is ready to offer. And look into the political the affiliations, like political equation देखें ना, Maldives में it's Muzu. This is the Abdullah Yameen government, the same government जिसने at that time Maldives was completely China way. BRI वगैरह सब कुछ उसी समय साइन हुआ है. So Maldives any time can, it's already China way. Look into Sri Lanka JVP party, not a good track record we had. And we were very apprehensive when JVP party came up. Look into Bangladesh. So that to everyone knows. Nepal, a coalition government. UML party is there, NC is there. NC is considered to be pro-India, but then UML, that is one party, 1994 में massive anti-Indian narrative, this party only came up. So we need to figure out कि अभी political equations क्या हैं. अभी के लिए I personally feel a mixed bag of both the two things is important. You need to be vigilant, measured response दो जहाँ जरूरी है, जहाँ नहीं है don't interfere. Development assistance देते रहो. This is what I feel.
Exactly. So major response is obviously that is needed. Also, India should be giving certain concession, but those concessions should not be overburdening for India itself. So India should be cautionary about whether we are talking about Sagar to Mahasagar doctrine. So we should not be compromising upon certain uncompromisable things. Yes, there will be certain things as an elder brother. So from big brother to elder brother, we can move, but cannot compromise on certain things which are non-negotiable as part of the foreign policy. So we have to learn from the strategic mistakes we might have committed in the past, and now the future should be lying in consonance with the global south countries, that as far as we can see from the perspective of this particular government as well. So I think that was a very enriching discussion with respect to the India's perspective of global south and how India sees this. This is not a just solidarity measure, but also India is proactively working towards making a lot of collaboration with the country specific, whether it is bilateral or multilateral fora. So thank you everyone for joining for this particular discussion. This was very enriching. Thank you. So with this, we are concluding this enriching discussion on the global south. Thank you for watching.